Welcome back to the lineup. I'm LJ.
I'm Mike.
And we have Pete Nelson with UCONN Alumni Magazine. Welcome, Pete. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Excited you made the long trip to get out here, but
I love driving through Long Island.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful, especially like around rush hour. It's perfect.
Yeah, it should be rush hour when on my way home.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm looking forward to having
You can really enjoy it.
Yeah.
car breakdown right on the bridge there.
Same with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're excited to sit down. I mean, there's the ties with UConn, so for us to be able to kind of talk about the
Right.
UConn days is always a pleasure for us. So
Did you go to UConn on a baseball scholarship?
we did, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell me about high school and into UConn.
So for me, I went to Branford High School. Probably sophomore year, it was always I'm going down south. That's it. I got to get down south.
Mm-hmm.
By junior year, I went to a camp at UConn. Shifted everything. I knew I had a weird feeling like that was just going to be the spot for me. Several reasons. My brother was there. I got to see how the coaches interacted with players. So from junior year on, I only focused on schools in the Northeast.
Okay.
So I was actually telling this to LJ the other day. UConn, I did get a scholarship. It was the only school I didn't get a full ride to, and for me at 18, my parents didn't pressure me at all. They
Right.
said, you make the right decision. We trust whatever you're going to do. And it was like a no-brainer for me that I turned down the full rides and went UConn. And I don't think I would have got to where I was without the coaching and the atmosphere that I was with, training.
Okay.
And
Did they
mentor.
scout you in high school? Did they send
They
someone
did.
to come
And
watch?
Coach he had a really interesting way of doing it too.
Okay.
He would come and you wouldn't know he was there. So he wanted to see how we were when the players didn't know they were there. So I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Not that like we're ever gonna go into these games. Nowadays these kids are like showboating and hitting home runs, and we weren't like
Right.
that. But like it's a good approach back then.
Then
'Cause if I'm
what
not
year
doing
would
well.
back then be?
That was 2007.
2007.
You were what, 2000?
2009.
Kids probably have like video highlight reels they
I
send around or something.
Yeah, that was just starting to come up when we were getting recruited during that process. People were starting to create the reels and stuff like that. But once I think when we were out of school, that became like a bigger thing.
I think so too. Yeah.
Okay.
I wish we were on their Instagram now. I mean, UConn baseball, their
Oh, yeah.
marketing is all highlights. I think there's like a YouTube video of me fielding a ground ball. That's it from UConn. That's
Okay.
it. There was no like people coming to watch and
And you,
filming.
what position were you playing?
Third base.
Third base.
You were all over. You could play all over.
Yeah.
He wanted. I
ended
started
up-
short. He wanted to take my job at first.
Okay.
Yeah, but then I quickly
Did you come up the
realized.
same year?
Now he was 2 years below me.
Yeah.
2 years behind. Okay.
Yeah. No, when I came in freshman year, it was Mike at short and Nick Ahmed at short, and I was like, I got to find a new position.
Okay.
They were too elite at that position defensively for sure.
Right.
And then Nick went to third. He was so bad at third. I bet you he'd admit it. He was so bad at third. I got hurt. He went to short, and it took me one game. I'm like, Coach, that is our short. Like, that's the best shortstop I've ever seen.
Mhm.
Okay.
So no one was going to compete against Nick with defense.
Yeah,
What's
he
the
was
difference
really good.
between not being great at short and not good at third? Arm strength or?
No, I think it was.
I think making all
more-
the routine plays is
I think
is the
Nick is-
biggest part.
Yeah.
He was so fundamentally sound that any ball in his range radius,
Right.
he was making. If he can get a glove on it, he
Yeah.
was making out,
Yeah.
and that's big for shortstop.
Yeah.
Third base is all reactionary.
Yeah.
So if it's hit, I didn't mind if it was hit hard. I didn't mind if it was hit softly either. But like it's more, you're not thinking.
Yeah, you're just reacting.
Shortstop is.
Yeah.
Nick is very good at making the. That's a perfect way of describing him.
Yeah.
But also making hard plays look routine. So it's like a mix of it.
So
Yeah,
you went,
yeah.
Where'd you go instead of second or third?
I went to second.
I mean, instead of short.
Yeah, I went to second base.
Second, okay.
Yeah. And then I played there the rest of my career at UConn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he played with a broken bone his freshman year
Which one?
in his arm.
Yeah, my right elbow.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I
Oh,
didn't
dear.
even know it was broken. So we were at
Where was
UMass.
it, how was it broken?
We were at UMass playing a game, and I was actually in left field, ironically, and I made a throw.
Yeah.
And after I made the throw, my arm just went dead. I didn't know what happened. I just thought I got a dead arm. So
Like a stinging thing?
yeah, it was just like it just went dead.
Yeah.
And then I got a base hit to me that like the next batter or two batters after, and just to throw it into the cutoff was like I had to flip it to the center fielder at the time. I was like, I can't throw this in.
Yeah.
And then the inning ended, and I came in, and I just went to my coach, and I was like, Coach, I can't lift my arm over my head. I don't know what's wrong. So he had me go see the trainer, and I was like doing bands at the end of the dugout, just doing band work, and had no idea that I had a stress fracture. That's exactly what it was.
Okay.
I played through it.
This
Right in the elbow, right in the bone.
right there. Okay.
And I got it checked out because I wasn't able to throw. I couldn't even put shampoo in my hair, but for some reason I could hit. I didn't feel it when I was hitting.
Okay.
And so I was DHing for a while because I saw 2 specialists, and both of them said that you just have inflammation in your bone. You just have to like
Did they
get through it. They X-rayed it. They MRI'd it.
Too swollen then?
Yeah. So I went on to the Cape Cod League that summer, and I DH'd. So I DH'd my whole freshman year. I DH'd the whole freshman summer league in Cape Cod. Playing that league is pretty. It's an honor to be in that league. It's all the best players in the country.
Okay.
And
That's college players?
College, yeah. And I wasn't able to play a position, so people were like, "What's wrong with him? What can he not play a position? Can he not throw?" And we kind of just kept it under wraps because we didn't know what was going on. Ended up doing really well, DH that whole year. Come back freshman fall, the swelling went down. I got an X-ray and MRI, and the Dr. Ahmad with the Yankees, I got like a third opinion, and he was like, "Yeah, your arm's broken. You need a screw in your arm now." And I have a screw in my arm about like this big forever. Yeah. So that was like crazy to me that I played that entire season with a broken arm and didn't even know it.
Wow.
Well, you needed you, so that's a
Yeah.
good thing you did.
Yeah. No, the Cape Cod. Did you play Cape Cod too?
Yep.
It's kind of legendary as classic American baseball. Is it really like that in reality?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's that
How many teams in the up and down the
I
Cape?
think 8.
8. Yeah.
All on the Cape.
Yep.
Okay.
And you were with what,
I was
Orleans?
to Orleans, yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I mean,
that
we
place
used
is
to
really
do all our
nice.
family trips straight to Cape Cod.
Yeah.
And we had 4 boys. We would just watch every single game. We would be there for a week and a half,
Yeah.
and
That's
we couldn't wait.
same
so,
atmosphere. Yeah.
When we played, you could see all the little kids doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really cool. That was the first moment when you're like, I think I'm on the right path to. There could be something here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because competition is
You're facing the best.
yeah
Yeah.
the best
So know that you can
pitchers,
do it.
best position players from each college team on one of these 8
pitchers
teams.
at that level are getting up 95, 96.
Oh yeah,
Definitely,
my first game was against Chris Sale. A true story.
In the Cape?
He struck out the
He
first.
wasn't hurt?
No, yeah, he
Sorry.
struck out the first 15 guys, and no, let's see, I hit 4th, 9th, whatever it was, 13 or what. I, being the strikeout guy, I actually fouled out to first base, and the crowd cheered because he struck out the first 13 guys.
Oh my
I called my dad after. I said, "Listen, if they're all like this, I'm done. Like this is
Right.
probably the end for me. Like if they pitch like him, there's no
Right.
one." So it's like
Is it possible he was thinner then than he is now?
I think he's pretty much the same.
Because he's what, 6'4",
He's 4'6", 6'5", but 170.
180?
Yeah.
Wow.
Such a good, because I played with him with the White Sox at the end. Unbelievable teammate, incredible
good to hear.
competitor. Well, one of my favorites that I
Yeah.
played against. But I told him that in the sauna. I said, "Hey, do you remember me?" And he's like, "What?" I said, "I fouled out against you in the Cape Cod the first game." And everyone cheered. So, fun little start to this when I got over there.
Yeah, sure. So tell me about being, you come from a baseball family. You didn't. I mean, your dad played. Were you tell me about you as 6 years old. How did you play ball? Because my son was it's all organized leagues and parents driving.
Oh yeah.
He didn't get to just go to the park and play with his brothers like I did.
I had 3 brothers. I played baseball outside every single day. Baseball, basketball, football. I think my dad coached me from Little League till probably high school.
Okay.
But he coached with his best friend, so his best friend would coach me,
Right,
and he
so-
would coach his sons.
There you
So
go.
they didn't
That's the
have
way
that
to do
thing.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you could.
And he
'cause
would
that
give-
thing's bad.
Yeah, he would give him full reign to do whatever he wanted to me. But I do remember a story of my dad. He said one of his other good friends, his son was playing catch before our first T-ball game, and he was trying to figure out what hand to put the glove on.
Uh-huh.
And his dad, he was throwing to his dad. His dad was rolling to him, and then he looks over, and my dad started catching with his bare hand, and then my dad had to put a glove on, and I was 5, and then he said that he just remembers his buddy coming over and being like, "I don't understand how he's throwing the ball." I was throwing hard enough that my dad had to put a glove on. So then my dad was finally. I always ask him, "When do you think I was good?" And he said, "I think that was a start."
Okay.
And then it was up to you what you wanted to do with it, and he just let me roll with it.
Right.
So he played in college. He played at Quinnipiac.
Okay.
And I also think it was probably the best thing sometimes that he maybe didn't know too much about baseball.
Yeah.
Because he would give me advice.
So he coached you until like 6th grade, is that?
I was probably, right around there.
Yeah.
And he would give me advice in baseball where I'd be struggling. I'm a head case. I'm thinking about what pitch is coming, slider, this, blah, blah. And once he hears that, he'd be like, hey, I think your hands are too close to your body. So like, then it shifted my mind into not thinking about what's happening, what pitch is coming, what my swing is doing.
Right.
I'm thinking about something more small. And then I would go, I guarantee you, before he told me the key, like when I was 25,
Right.
I was probably batting 800 every time he'd give me advice. Because I wouldn't ask him.
Right.
But like, it'd get to a point where I'm struggling. I'm like, Dad, I need you to come. You got CBP. And he would just throw out something stupid, something random.
Yeah.
Hey, I think you're too short. I think you're too narrow. Like, why
Yeah.
don't you wind down? Something really that had nothing to do and allowed me to compete again. So
Yeah.
like, he made,
Yeah, that's key.
it's like it helped me so much.
It's so, like, remember Lee Trevino, the golfer?
Mhm.
He would hustle golf all the time. And he would say to the guy he's playing, did you change your stance? Oh, never mind. And then the guy's going,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
like
Yeah.
a Tiger
and
thing.
it'd mess him up.
Yeah.
Like Tiger Woods did the same.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a documentary that came out. But there's always, with baseball, there's so much information you can get. Sometimes it's not good to have all the information.
Yeah.
But you were lucky because your dad understood hitting like the fundamentals. Like you were well more advanced coming into UConn. Like I didn't even know how to
Did you
get
have
it.
brothers too, or?
No, two sisters.
Two sisters.
Yeah.
Okay.
They bully you?
Yeah, of course.
Get ready.
Yeah.
But like you had understanding of how pitchers. You understood how the game was going. Your dad, like you were with your dad for how long? Like bat boy and this and being around.
Yeah.
DP,
How young were you when you started being a bad boy? What's the cut? What's the?
Dusty Baker's son's age?
Trying to think. I mean, early on. I mean, yeah, probably like third or fourth grade. I started doing that.
Mm.
And it was in Norwich, AA for the Yankees at the time when he was managing them. That was pretty cool. I got the bat boy on that team, and on that team was guys like Darnell McDonald, Nick Johnson, Alfonso Soriano.
Man.
All those guys were on that team before they became anything.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, bat boy when he was coach for the Yankees. I lived with him in Baltimore for a season, bat boyed with him there.
That's so cool.
I got homeschooled. That was my freshman or sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
That was pretty cool.
Homeschooled by him or by?
I had a tutor. Yeah.
I would have loved if he homeschooled you.
He's been homeschooling me my whole life.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So he'd take you out and play catch when you were little, and because my dad always used to pretend I made his hand hurt.
Yeah.
He said, oh, that was, I
No.
realized about 5 years ago he was bullshit.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So your heroes were the guys you saw in person. I mean, did you have like Hank Aaron, who he wasn't in the clubhouse, but?
No, I met a bunch of the guys from that core 4 team. Like I was around that, bat boying, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, it sounds cliche, but my dad was probably my idol with that because growing up as a kid until I was probably like 13 or 14, he was always on the road. He was coaching, 6-7 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And that was always during spring, summer, where baseball would be.
Right.
So a lot of people think that, he was around to teach me all these things in Little League, but it was really my mom bringing me everywhere and having catches with me and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I kind of realized that I was like, I was naturally good at baseball at that time, probably like 10, 11 years old. Actually, when I was 8 years old, my parents forged my birth certificate. I don't know if I could put this out there. So I could play with the 10-year-olds.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
In Portchester, New York, not in Greenwich, because I was pretty more advanced than my age group in Greenwich, and they kind of tried to find some more competition for me. So that's what I did. That's kind of when I realized early on that I was like pretty good at baseball.
Right. How were you size-wise? Were you a small kid or?
I was small until my senior year of high school. Literally, I was my freshman year of high school. I was 4'11", and I stayed back my junior year at Iona Prep because of the Regents test that you have to get ready for in New York State, the requirements. And I remember that year I was like 5'7", maybe 150 pounds, The next year I went to IMG academies in Florida, and that was when I started getting recruited for college, and I was getting like D2 offers. And then that spring going into winter going into the spring, I grew like 5 inches to like 6'1", 185, and then I grew into my abilities. Like I had the abilities, but I was smaller.
Right.
And then I grew into my body and like my strength at 18 years old, and then my abilities kind of took off from there. What did you say?
You start working with weights and.
Yeah, exactly. So when I got to IMG, I started working with weights, nutrition, mental training, stuff that they're not really teaching you in public schools because they're not focusing on sports like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was pretty life changing for me, IMG, and that's when I actually.
What does IMG stand for?
It's just IMG academies.
Okay.
Yeah, in Bradenton, Florida.
Oh.
That's when I started getting recruited D1 all over. I went to this national showcase my senior year and went 4 for 4 with 4 doubles. The one in Iowa.
People don't forget.
And yeah, and I got. I think
Des Moines?
it's yeah.
Good spot.
And I got hitter of the tournament or whatever. And then I started getting all these calls and offers. And when it came down to it, that summer I decommitted from another school, and I called up St. John's and UConn because I decided I want to stay home. I didn't want to go south or west.
Right.
And I knew that Mike was already at UConn because that was one of their recruiting pitches. We have this young stud.
They used me, huh?
Yeah. And then I also played summer ball with George Springer and Matt Barnes for Team Connecticut, and I knew they were going there. So, I was like, I kind of want to be a part of something.
Right.
I want to be part of building something instead of going to a program.
Did you turn down a chance to sit on the bench at a bigger school for a chance to play at UConn or something like that?
I mean, it wasn't really like bench wise. All my offers were pretty much you have a chance to compete for a starting job as a freshman. Even UConn said the same thing to me. No one guaranteed anything.
Okay.
But I knew who was going to UConn. Both my sisters were at UConn, and my dad had just turned down a job with Joe Torre for the Dodgers at the time, and I was going to go out there with him. I was going to go to USC, and when we both realized that we were just going to separate the family, he stayed back, and I'm like, I want to stay back. So, and I was like, wherever I go northeast, wherever I'm playing, I'll have my dad who had 14 years in the big leagues, who can be a voice of reason or someone I can go home and talk to at any point. So I thought it was like a smarter decision.
Yeah, it sounds
It
like
was.
it. And did you have other schools besides UConn you were thinking of, or?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a lot of schools that were interested in the Northeast, but no. I literally made up my mind. I made up my mind junior year.
Mm-hmm.
So my brother went there my junior year. I committed, the fall of junior year.
Yeah.
Once I went to the camp, I was pretty much in.
Okay. So your podcast is about baseball stories.
Yep, a little bit.
And so I want to get some of those. I think I told you I covered the Atlantic League,
Mm-hmm.
and Butch Hobson was the coach in Nashville. I don't know if he still is.
I don't know.
But there was a game when he was arguing with the ump, and he picked up the second base bag, which isn't unusual.
Yeah.
Most guys throw it somewhere. He took it to the stands, autographed it, and gave it to a kid.
That's great.
So give me some stories.
I don't think the only time I ever got thrown out of a game was my rookie year in Spokane. Wiener Wednesday, so it was packed house, and it was bases loaded, 3-2 count. It was a ball by a ton, not even have to look at the camera. It was probably by 6-7 inches.
Yeah.
I drop my bat, run to first, and the crowd's going crazy, so I don't really understand what's going on. And the umpire had called me out, and then kept calling me out. And he's like, I got the first, and he's like, hey, you're out. I'm like, no. I just took off my gloves. I'm like, I'm not getting. And the guy was right next. The other guy was on first base. He's like, I don't know what to do, Mike, but I think you're out. I'm like, I'm not out. I can't.
Oh, the other runner.
Yeah, on my team, he's like, Mike, you're out. I don't know what to do. So we were standing there, and then it was the most polite way for me to So then my coach came out and got into it. I didn't even get into it. Yeah. I was like, what am I gonna say to him? I don't know. Besides, that wasn't a strike,
right.
And I just walked off. That was my 10th game in pro ball. I haven't got thrown out since.
Okay.
I was more a fiery guy towards myself, not towards anyone else.
No bench clearing brawls in your history.
No. Not. I've been in a couple. Yeah. The one in Dominican was wild. I mean.
Tell me about that.
Well, there's 120 guys on each team. Like,
Oh wow, yeah.
this is actually a great story. And my
Are you serious?
there's probably 90 people on each side, right? There's an American guy. There's 5
two
American
football
guys on
teams.
each team, and then the rest is Dominican guys.
Yeah.
And Pat Butler, Dan Butler, played with the Red Sox at the time. He's catching. One of our guys hits a home run and just showboats it, which is normal there. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dan, it's kind of like a fiery guy, said something at home plate. Next time this guy got up, Dan got up, he got hit.
Mm.
So like he's kind of jawing a little bit. Now once I learned Dan, in like 5 years later, it's the most ridiculous story ever.
Yeah.
It gets drawn, all of a sudden both benches clear, both bullpens are coming in, and when there was haymakers, like on the far side, there was cleats off, everything dusted off. Dan's at first base, I'm at first base, and he's like, "Hey, dude, sorry, my girl just came into town, and I really wanted to show her, like, I said, Dan, are you really just did that because your girl, I could have died." It was the fun. And then I got to play with Dan in 2018. It, like,
Tell me his last name again.
Butler.
Butler. Okay.
Knowing his personality, it's like the funniest thing in the world. Dry humor, like the nicest human being ever. But like just started jawing, and then the first thing he said, "I'm sorry, my girls came in." Like, I was like, "Are you? We could have died out here."
That's awesome.
That's a good bench clearing one. I mean, also like my first year in Spokane, I kept getting thrown inside a lot. Like a lot of pitchers were coming after me.
Were you crowding the play?
No, but it was just part of like learning. Kids had to learn how to throw inside.
Right.
And it just so happened to be a lot of it was coming towards me from a couple. And I remember we had a team meeting, and the coach was like teaching us how to fight, and I'm just like, wait, time out. Like, is that a possibility? Like, we could, like, we're having fights. Like, listen, I want you to be alert because guys are coming in from all over. I'm like, holy crap, this is day 6. I'm like, hey, mom, I don't know. Like, we're having meetings on how to fight. I'm like, damn. But
it's like hockey. It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, listen, all I would need is a nice one to the jaw, and then I'm good. Like, I should get riled up.
Yeah, you just gotta get woken up a little
and
bit.
then the Hulk would come out, but I like to keep him inside
Right.
as best I can.
You know, I still remember when Jason Varitek shoved his mitt in A-Rod's face.
That was a good one. I watched that live.
And A-Rod was at the game with the Celtics and the Heat. He was in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
And the Celtics were sucking. I said, somebody punch A-Rod.
Wow.
Just do it again. It worked once.
Yeah, that's a good. They had rivalries back then. That was when baseball was really fun to watch.
Yeah. Did you get in any fights or?
No. When I was a kid, I would play in the parade grounds. I was on this like AAU team in New York, and I had my last name on my back. And when I was at the age in the inner city, people knew the name, so they assumed that I was like this silver platter kid that was like in the baseball world that was given everything.
Right.
And I had learned the hard way that I would get thrown at, and I was like 14 years old, and I didn't know why, and it would piss me off. And my dad, I remember he would like always tell me, he's like, just beat him on the field, beat him with your bat,
Yeah.
So I've always taken that mentality for the rest of my life, and anything that whenever like things like that happen on the field, like I'm not like an instigator, but like I flip a switch. I get like locked in when stuff like that happens. More so like letting out the anger.
Of course.
Yeah.
But there's always like 2 or 3 guys on a team that don't have that. They're just crazy.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Yeah. It's a rush to get into a bench clearing brawl. It's a rush.
Yeah, we've had teammates that are just looking for it.
I know.
Yeah, it's like they show up to the field looking for it more than anything else.
I always hate when they would
Gotta get that aggression out.
Yeah.
I hate like it's a freezing cold day and you're listening to a pitcher's meeting and you're like, all right, listen, 2 seamers inside, just pound them in. Worst thing that happens, we hit them. It's 3 degrees and that guy throws 99 and like you can just be at third base and I'm like seeing the catcher, I'm like, we got one more batter if he gets hit and things are gonna get dicey here real quick.
Well, playing in cold weather, and you end up doing that what's the coldest you ever played in?
Opening day in Chicago, you could have died.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was. I was the bench, and I came out.
Oh God.
There was heaters on the bench, which is great. I was still freezing, and I remember I had to pinch hit. I walked out on deck, and I looked back inside. I said, "Is this a good idea?" Like,
Should I
To be
just stay warm?
Ice cold and just out here trying to hit, because in Chicago they didn't have any batting cages, so you couldn't even get
You're
warmed up.
talking about the White Sox.
That was with the Cubs.
Cubs, right.
Yep. So their locker room, it wasn't the new stadium yet,
Yeah.
even though the revised stadium. We would literally, I'd warm up in the locker room. We would put socks together and tape them up, and we would throw them in the locker room and swing.
Uh-huh.
And then I did that for like 5-6 swings, and I went out there and I'm like, there's no way these guys played a full game of this. It was like negative.
In Binghamton, we're Binghamton's
what about
opening day there. So
snowing?
everyone's in ski masks and stuff, and it's funny. I learned like a trick from my Dominican my Dominican teammates. They're not used to the cold.
Well, yeah.
So the way that they would warm up is they'd each take a shot of scotch before the game.
What about when they would put on the Vaseline?
And that was like a thing for them. It was like a normal thing. And it's like, you want one? No, I'm good. I think. Like I'm about to go play a game. It's like, are you sure, Poppy? It'll make you warm. So
that's not a performance enhancing substance.
No, it was more. It was more of a relaxer. Yeah, but it was just funny that people have different ways to deal with the cold.
I used to see guys with putting Vaseline all over their bodies. And I'm like, what the hell is that all about? He's like, this is gonna help me stay warm. I'm like, I literally don't think that's gonna help you at all. But hey, whatever it was.
Yeah. Were those Dominican guys? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, they played well.
Do you ever get guys from Australia or like other parts of the world who just don't know how to live in America?
You know what? I played with one with the Twins. In spring training, Aaron Whitefield. Super athletic, but I think like everything about him was super athletic. Defense, hitting. The crazy part was he could throw a softball like 85 miles an hour underneath.
Yeah.
So like in Australia, they have, I guess it's just like a different thing. Like men's softballs, they're a really big thing.
Okay.
Should have became a submarine.
Is that where he came from?
That's where he came from. So
Okay.
he came from Australia over here when he was young. But uber talented, but it was just crazy to see like other things he would do. I'm like, that's not normal. Like that's really athletic, and I can't believe he could do that.
Yeah.
So hopefully the game's getting there where a lot more people are coming from all over.
Right.
I know Italy's gonna have some talent. Like just thinking of the World Baseball
They
Classic.
got a new league in
You
Dubai.
watched the Little League World Series. It starts a team from Taiwan.
Yep.
And I always think like, why do these guys not end up in Major League? Maybe they do. Maybe I'm just not aware that they do. But
Maybe not as many. Yeah, I played with.
Zhu Wei Lin.
He was incredible.
I love him.
who was it?
Zhu Wei Lin.
Zhu Wei
Yeah.
Lin.
Pretty sure he won a World Series with the Red Sox.
Yeah, and he's a great kid.
Yeah, he was awesome. Played with him last year with the Ducks.
Okay.
Absolute cannon.
Yeah, he's just a clean baseball player all around.
Super pop for small guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming more. It's not just Dominican, Venezuela.
He's like a
Puerto
god.
Rico.
He's a god in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
And I think the World Baseball Classic having so much attention the last couple of years is like really big for opening
my
people's
God,
eyes
yeah.
to like.
Is that growing? I haven't really.
Oh my
followed
gosh,
this.
That was so exciting
What was
to
the
watch this year.
viewership in Japan or something like that?
62% of all people in Japan watched the game.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
Yeah.
We had like 6 million here watch it.
Yeah, no, they had something in the billions
Yeah.
for viewership
Wow.
for baseball.
Otani can do that.
Otani's he's gonna elevate this game
Yeah.
globally.
Oh, he has.
Yeah. But it's like that World Baseball Classic was like the first taste of like where this game's going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just interested to see as he progresses throughout his career how much more he becomes, a global superstar.
Are you guys from China?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of one.
I haven't played with somebody from China.
They're making it into basketball. But,
Yeah.
so I just want to tell you this story because I got to tell somebody.
Tell me.
I'm in high school, Minneapolis, playing in indoor track meets in the spring. University of Minnesota Fieldhouse. And all the high school track athletes are there, and the university baseball team is there. On that team is a guy named Dave Winfield.
Wow.
There's a guy practicing on the high jump, and he's got the bar set at 6'11". And I didn't see this. I wish I could say I saw this, so I know.
Yeah.
But the guy who told me, I don't think he was making it up. He said the bar was set at 6'11". Dave Winfield said, "Can I try that?"
No way.
Did it. Just did it.
I believe it.
Just
I could
watched
believe it though.
You know,
Yeah, freak athlete.
Some guys are just freaks like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you don't know.
Or the rare breed. But once you see him, it doesn't take much to be like,
Right.
oh my God.
Yeah, no, my
Yeah.
dad said probably the best talented baseball player he's ever played with was Darryl Strawberry.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that's not what you think of Darryl Strawberry. I mean,
My dad said he
it's
was
not how
just
you remember him.
crazy athlete. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just could do everything. 5 tools, everything. Natural too.
Yeah.
Just like naturally. It wasn't, working in so crazy hard and refining all these tools. He would just show up and do anything.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was covering the New Somerset Patriots, they had a guy named Greg Blosser, who played with the Sox, had a cup of coffee, and he would go 0 for 10, and then he'd hit 6 home runs in a row. Then he'd go 0 for 12, and then he'd hit. It was the freakiest, streaky thing. And he was trying. I mean, as far as I could tell, his mental, like when he wasn't trying, he could do well, and when he was trying, he couldn't.
You got to find that happy medium.
Perfect way to put it.
That's a deciphering factor for AAA and the big leagues.
Yeah, baseball's a roller coaster. You don't want it to be a roller coaster.
No, you got
want it to be
to
more like this.
find out that consistency.
And that's literally the easiest thing said than done.
So the
I want
guys
to be
in the
this.
big leagues have learned not to overthink it for the most part.
They know their game so well where every time they show up to the field, you're getting a consistent player. You know what you're getting out of that player.
Right.
They're not wild cards. Like, he can't do this or whatever. I mean, like most of them know how to play the game. They know how to win. And then whenever it comes to their personal skills, like they've honed those in the minor leagues.
Right.
Now they're a polished product in the big leagues. That's kind of like the difference maker, because the guys in AAA, they all have the talent, they all have the tools, but whether you refine all that, put it together, and give one product of all around player, that could be a thing. Or you could have one specific plus tool that'll kind of pull you up to the big leagues, and then you kind of try to figure it all out there.
Right. Do you watch? I'm just a Sox fan. I'm watching Tristan Casas.
I love
Giant guy, great numbers in the minors, and he's batting 180.
He'll figure it out.
You think so? I mean, I believe this. The people who watch him, they say he's got it. He's gonna figure it out. But how do you coach that? How do you work with? You
just gotta play every day. That's it. You just gotta keep that momentum.
There is a big difference. Now there's a big difference in the hype that these guys have.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like that when I was coming up. I didn't have too much hype. But I was one of the top guys in the minor leagues at the time, but I still didn't have camera crews following me or social media that's all over you. There's that. There's the pitching has changed to where they're not used to the guys having a plan on how to attack them and then executing it for the most part. In the minor leagues, they have a plan how to execute. The higher you go, it's more defined, but they might not be able to execute as much.
Right.
So it's about Tristan, all these young guys that are coming up. Hitters get it the hardest because it's their first dose of having a guy that can execute. That's really good. Yeah, I mean, there's really good talent in the minor leagues.
He's the easiest thing to measure.
His swing is very. What I like about him is his swing is. It stayed pretty consistent in regards to like how he attacks the baseball, and I think he's making adjustments on how. He's setting up pitchers. I think he's starting to get comfortable. It's a weird thing to think about.
And at that level too, you're getting less mistakes from those pitchers.
Yeah, you can't.
They're not making as many mistakes. So in the minor leagues, you might go up there and tell yourself, I'm going to take the first pitch.
You can't.
Meanwhile, in the big leagues, that could have been the best pitch you're going to see the entire bat.
Right.
Minor leagues, you could get away with that possibly depending on who you're facing, and know that you might get another pitch in that at bat. The big leagues, that's kind of like the difference. My dad would tell me would be like, you always got to be ready first pitch. Why? Because that might be the best pitch you get. And in the big leagues, you can't miss that mistake.
Right.
Because then, they're not likely to do that again. And let's say on the flip side, a lot of hitters give pitchers too much credit when it comes to hitting their spots and stuff like that because they miss. So you have to kind of try to control the zone. Right. At a certain point, especially as a rookie, is hard because you're anxious. You want to do something. You want to make your mark. You want to stay. You want to do things to stay. But at the same time, the more you control the zone and it's the same game, just a little faster. You slow it down a little bit, control the zone, let the pitchers come to you, and then try not to miss the mistakes if they leave one out over the plate.
Right. Right. So when I interview people, I try to remember to ask two things. What's your worst moment and what's your best moment? Your worst day and your best day. And I asked you before what your worst days were, and you both said it was when you both got sent home from Florida. And we talked about that. I mean, I don't know if you want to keep talking about that, but
No.
what was your best day? Best moment, like I could quit now.
Man, I would say my best moment is probably getting drafted by the Mets in the fourth round, 2013. Like full circle, you know, kind of following Pops' footsteps
Sure.
in a certain way. But at that round, there's no nepotism there, so it was just cool how it kind of shook out.
Mm-hmm.
Where, you know, I got to share that moment with my dad,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of cried and we hugged
Was
each
he-
other
he
because
was
it was
there in the
very
room with
surreal.
you?
Yeah.
Cool.
We were at home during the draft process. I think that was probably the coolest moment in my career because everything led up to that moment. A Little League, high school, AAU ball, college, like
Sure.
all the time put in, all the achievements, all the successes and failures. Finally getting drafted was like that, like solidification of like, okay, you made it. Like this is the start now. Now you go off, right?
Mhm.
But like getting to that point, getting drafted is what all kids look forward to, that
Yeah.
draft day, and then having to share that moment with my dad with the same team he played
So
for.
you were home sitting
was
by
pretty
the
cool.
phone waiting for it to ring, and
Yeah.
what time? When did it ring?
It was early in the fourth round, I think the second day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was your best moment?
I think having my parents out to my debut was probably the best, but it wasn't. I remember getting out there, I'm looking for them, I couldn't find them, and then my second at bat came around,
What stadium was this? in?
Arlington in
Alright.
Texas, and my mom and dad were sitting next to Nolan Ryan in George W. Bush's seats.
Sure.
So they're like, "Hey, number 9," and like when I saw them, I wasn't nervous then. It was like the third inning, but there's a comforting moment like that I had.
Yeah.
And then I come in and I get to my locker, and my brother was a bartender at my aunt and uncle's place in Brantford, and he sent me a video. There's probably like, I don't know, 350 people at the bar, and he would stop all production on when I'd be up, and they saw my first hit, and the place erupted. So like
That's
for me,
awesome, man.
Yeah.
I got to have my mom and dad there, which was amazing, and thankfully my brother
And
helped.
you'd been
make
seeing
that.
them on the sidelines since you were.
Yeah. So like, you know, they had a lot of traveling to make
That's
it happen. And, you know, my brother helped get them there because when I first made the call, I didn't know how to plan a trip for them. Like
Right.
I had so much on my mind. So he took over and got them tickets, but that was amazing to have them there. I would have been devastated if they weren't.
Right.
But then to come back and see like all of Brantford in my hometown, like just celebrating me, like I had a good support system all around. So
Okay.
like those are probably the coolest ones I have.
Okay. Do you have to pay for your own beer when you go to Brantford now?
Depends. It depends the kind of mood my uncle's in.
Yeah, there was just a story in the Globe today about what was his name, Steve Price with the Red Sox, most valuable player in 2018.
David Price?
No, not Steve. I said no. It wasn't David Price. He was pitcher. This guy was the first baseman. He's filled in for Mike.
Like a 2018?
Yeah, first baseman. He was MVP of the World Series.
Oh well, like we got
Anyway.
Freddie Freeman or whatever. You got.
Yeah. But he said he never has to buy a beer in Boston.
Oh, David Freese was one of those in St. Louis that doesn't have to buy anything in St. Louis
Yeah,
when he took down the Rangers in the World Series.
yeah.
That's awesome.
That was a tough one.
And the work I covered a football team on Martha's Vineyard, and if you're on Martha's Vineyard, and you're an Islander, there's like 4,000 people, and
Yeah.
and this one guy, he won the state football championship in 1994, and he was still getting free stuff.
People don't forget, you know?
No, you're right.
Yeah.
That's
People don't
it,
forget.
hometown heroes.
Tell me about the Atlantic League thing. I did one other question before that. There was, I'm trying to think, Carl Yastrzemski's son Mike played. Kobe Clemens played. What other son and father team combinations in baseball? Did you know other guys his dad's played?
Yeah, Mariano Rivera and Mariano Rivera Jr.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
right? Is he
yeah.
pitcher too?
Yeah, he was a pitcher of the Nationals for a little bit. He was drafted in the fourth round from, I think, Iona College or Quinnipiac, one
Uh-huh.
of the two. Yeah, I grew up with him too. He's a good kid, friends with him.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of other combos.
Well, now there's a bunch. Think
Now,
of the
yeah,
draft
well,
that just
now they're in the
happened.
big
You got
leagues too. It's pretty crazy.
Holiday, Jones. I mean, there's all those
Yeah.
dads. Their sons are like in high school now.
Yeah. Oh, and then of course Ken Griffey.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm just picturing a father and son game somewhere in the
Your
future?
dad could have still played when you were playing.
Yeah, I mean it's still up in the air. I think maybe August might be thinking about doing a little
Mm.
guest appearance. Me and my dad.
What do you go to batting cages? Do you play? Do you
Right now?
There's senior leagues, you know.
A lot of golf now.
I can't. My shoulders messed up. I was in a softball league. I can't even lift my shoulder up over my. I gotta get surgery on it.
Yeah.
So like my excuse is I can't do dishes because if I have to go too high.
Yeah.
So which is good for
You
me.
can break the dishes too.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That's why I'm
Safety.
it's not about me.
It's a
it's
safety.
about
It's a
everybody.
safety hazard.
So for me, it's good.
And Pete Nelson, UCONN Alumni Magazine. Thanks so much for coming to our podcast today. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day.
Well, I could do it.
Know you're super busy, so thank you again. And then until next time, I'm LJ,
I'm Mike.
and we'll see you on the lineup.